Okay, so what are we going to be doing today? We are going to be adding Applied Energistics to my base, building a sifting setup to automatically sieve gravel, sand, and dust, and increase the size of the big reactor since we need more energy production. Okay, well, I'm at a point where the base building is going really good. We've got the beginning of the base set up. I now would like to take a look up at Applied Energistics since, well, all of these chests are, let's just put it this way, they're quite messy. So Applied Energistics is going to solve that. So shall we go and start Applied Energistics? The first machine which we're going to need is going to be a charger. This will allow us to produce charge Certus quartz. We already have the inscriber. We crafted that to get the entropy manipulator. The next two things which we need to make is a inscriber calculation press and logic press. Logic press. Calculation press. We're also following along with the quests. I wonder how many people do what I'm about to do. The next thing which we're going to take care of is speeding up the inscriber. To do so, you need to craft up advanced cards, then craft them with some flux crystals to get the acceleration cards. I'll also include a before and after, just to show you how quick the machine is now. Before. After. Now it's time for the crafting terminal. This will actually allow us to access the ME system and place items in there, as well as craft things using items from the ME system. Next, we need to make a few ME controllers. I'm going to make 2 of these for now. Did I say 2? We'll do 4 ME controllers. The first controller which we place is going to control all the P2Ps which are going to be in the ME system. All the way up here is going to be the ME controller. These controllers are going to house the ME drives, crafting terminals, all of the auto-crafting interfaces. Basically everything which isn't a P2P is going to be on this controller. 3 ME P2Ps. We're also going to need to craft up a memory card for this. To actually be able to store any items, we're going to need to craft an ME drive. So we're going to have 2 clusters at each side, which are going to contain the ME drives. This is going to be the drive room, I think. For the P2Ps to work, we need to place them like this. So this will output an ME channel into this one, which will then power the drawer. There is a creeper up there. So remember that this is going to be the controller for the P2Ps for this. So eventually this will be a dense cable, but for now we'll do a glass cable with a P2P. So this P2P will be facing this. Do that as the glass cable. This one we basically need to connect this now to this ME controller. Then this one we need to route all the way over to where the drives are. I'm also going to place the P2P with a crafting terminal on this so that we can actually access the items. This one is also going to be bound to a glass cable with a terminal, so we have access to the ME system from here. The drives which we're going to choose are going to be the 1K, since most of the items will actually be stored in storage drawers. We also need to give power to the ME controller, so for now we're just going to run this universal cable, very temporary, just to get this ME system powered. Lovely, power in the ME system. So we then need some quartz fibers. These allow us to transmit power and not channels between ME systems. Now let's run the glass cable to the main controller. Oh god. We can now link this P2P tunnel, holding shift right click. Then we can bind it to this P2P tunnel to give the crafting terminal power. Can't store anything yet though, until we bind this P2P to give this ME drive power and connect it to the main network. Oh, finally! Who doesn't love Applied Energistics? This is great. Brilliant. This thing is going to be life-changing. We are going to store most of the things which are in the chest in there. Oh, brilliant. Right. 8 1K storage components. Just finished crafting these. Now means we can completely fill this drive up with them. Now we get to do the bestest part of this, which is breaking all of these chests. Ready, set. You know what, just get it all in there. I'll sort it out later. Yeah, so we have a storage system now. I'm going to even do that now that we have a storage system. Now that we have Applied Energistics, it's time to move on to something which desperately needs change, and that is the sifting setup. So I've moved the storage drawers to the final location where they're going to be. Then we get to build up the sifting setup, auto smelting, and all of the ingots and compacting drawers are going to be stored here. Can show you a real good time. Oh, everything in my ME system now. Yes, all of that effort was just to get everything in my ME system, which we get from sifting. I'm absolutely loving this. How cool is it? So this cobblestone is the input for this side. Cobblegen is infinite. The compacting drawer will just compress everything automatically. And then this one is filtered the item pipe to only extract the compressed blocks. Then the compressed blocks come through the flux hammer, break down. This can break down 8 items at a time. So it's 8 times 9, which is a lot. But that ends up in here. Then it gets uncrafted, then sent through the sieve. Then the output just runs through all of this item pipe, all the way to this controller. Pretty good. And all of the ores in this is now connected into my ME system. Wow, do we really have 1,500 gold chunks? There is some improvements which need to happen, like glowstone, redstone, diamond. Some of these need to be in compacting drawers so that we have access to the blocks. And the ore chunks, will set that up through ME and they'll be set up automatically. Another thing which I'm taking care of is a jetpack. Definitely need one of these so that we can actually fly underneath this island and we don't need to tear up the floor and then replace it. The jetpack's just charged in one of these energy cubes, nice and simple. Be sure to check and set the keybinds for this also. Now we can come and do this. We can come under the base and place the cables. So we still have a little bit of automation to do for these. I want to set up the next 2 for sand and dust, because we're going to be using them a lot for these. Just have them on passive. It's going to be nice. Right, back to building. Bro, what are you doing, Creeper? That's the sand one. Currently sifting. Yeah, that's full. That is beautiful. And just as a recap, this turns cobblestone, which comes in from this cobblestone generator. It turns it into dust, gravel and sand. Then that is sifted into the materials, which we're going to need a lot of. Very proud of this. Working superb. All of these cables are going to be tidied up. These will be flux points at some point, so they'll be tidy. So that is for the primary 3 materials which can be sifted. The next thing which we're going to work on is the ore processing. Now that we have ore generation, we should really start working on ore processing. I also finished this section of the base after finishing ore generation. To do so, we are going to need a few machines to get this started. One of which being an emerald furnace to smelt things, a flux compactor to compact all of the pieces, the ore pieces, and an enrichment chamber from mechanism to get some ore processing out of this. Just to clarify, I ended up deciding not to use the enrichment chamber. We're just going to compress the ore pieces and then smelt them because it's so much simpler. And for the fact that this is passive, I don't think it's going to matter us not getting the extra ore outputs from it. Just as a little side note, if you use the compacting drills like I do, don't put the ingots in, put the nuggets in first, because you saw it sometimes makes it so that the compressed blocks are what's crafted and then you don't have access to nuggets. Now that we have stable resource generation, it's time to upgrade the power again because the resource generation is consuming so much power. How are we going to generate power, you might ask? Well, there are 2 ways we could generate more power. We could build a steam turbine from bigger reactors, but that takes quite a lot of effort. Instead, we're just going to upgrade the reactor to be a 5x5 with 1 control rod in the middle surrounded by osmium to generate a total of 4,500 RF per tick. I also have 2 reactor redstone ports, one to trigger if the energy in the reactor gets above 90%, and one to disable or enable the reactor based on that energy level. This will prevent the reactor from wasting uranium, which was something which I didn't add to the first reactor which we built. Now that we have stable resource generation, there is something which I would love to take a look at: Applied Energistics Autocrafting. I desperately need autocrafting moving forward. So to begin that, we have a few machines to begin crafting. The first machine to craft is a molecular assembler. Then the second machine to craft is a ME pattern provider. Thirdly is a pattern encoding terminal. And lastly, an ME pattern access terminal. So this is the pattern encoding terminal, and this version of Applied Energistics does include fluid autocrafting native, which is also going to be really important for us. Sure, why not? 64 blank patterns, they're going to be needed. Then we are going to teach the recipe for the blank pattern. This will allow us to send the autocraft in Applied Energistics and it will display as a crafting recipe. Now this line is going to get its own dedicated P2P because these pattern providers, they require 1 channel per pattern provider, and we're going to have a lot of these set up. So new P2P, we can place the molecular assembler basically next to any pattern providers, and you can have more than 1 placed next to the molecular assemblers. We can place the patterns in this pattern provider. So we'll have the P2P connected with the glass cable to connect this to the main network. Bind this to the new P2P tunnel, which we just set up. Yep, molecular assembler now has power. Pattern provider should now be connected to the main network. We can double check that by looking for a pattern recipe. Now we can't actually request these just yet because we don't have any crafting CPUs. So we're going to make up one of these now. Crafting unit. You basically craft these with any of the storage components to make them into the crafting storage. And this is basically what we need to start auto crafting. Hello, Ghost. This crafting monitor which we have built does need to be connected to the ME system. So we're connecting this with the P2P again. P2P is everywhere. We'll connect this to the one which the terminals are on. Which should now mean, as a test, if we request 100 of this glass, crafting CPU automatic. Lovely. We're now auto crafting. The most basic thing which we could craft, quartz glass, should see that's actually crafting in the molecular assembler. Now we have the base for auto crafting. It's now time that I need to start making a bit of a machine hall for all of the machines which we're going to be running through Applied Energistics. So I'm going to have this emerald furnace here. And probably a suggestion at this point, let's teach the pattern provider as a recipe for all of these components. Pattern access terminal. We can put the patterns straight into that pattern provider over here. So we need to set up a recipe for these logic processors. And I have a fun way to do these using this circuit etcher from lazy Ae2. So we have a little bit of crafting to do for us to actually be able to start crafting through this circuit etcher. Okay, I know exactly what we need to do, so I'm going to try to do it, and hopefully you can basically come along with me for this journey to get what I want for Applied Energistics. To start off, we need to get ender pearls. We could do that through sifting endstone. You know what? I just need to stop myself there. What I ended up doing was sifting a little bit of endstone dust to get enough ender pearls for this craft. Okay, first machine, matter infuser. This will allow us to make this fluid steel. That enderman just stole a piece of cactus. Okay, so we're going to need to get a singularity. Oh, the crafting is just getting bigger. As a reminder, this is going to be quite a big craft this early on, but it's going to be absolutely worth it. It's a lot of... So what we actually need to do, we need to craft up a singularity, which requires one of the matter condensers, which means that we need a 64K storage component to be able to get there, which means that we need to craft one of them up manually to be able to get the singularity and in turn get this circuit etcher. But like I said, it's going to be worth it because it means that we'll be able to craft up the processors basically using these instead of having to have more than one machine for this. So it simplifies it a lot. Okay, well that was a solid 30 minutes of crafting loads of components. 64K? Yeah, send the craft. Lovely stuff. Now I'm actually just going to hook this up to this cobblestone drawer and just draw cobblestone out of here for now. So we'll filter only cobblestone. At the 64K. Shouldn't take too long to get up to this number. Getting close. Ah, one singularity. Okay, should mean that we can make the universal press, which now means we can make these parallel circuits and in turn parallel processors. which should mean we can finally make this circuit etcher. Lovely. So I'll just encode the patterns now for all of these. This will be for all of the processors in there. Then all we need is a P2P to get an ME channel over there. Now things are going to be golden. We should be able to request any of these processors just like that, and it auto output into the ME system. Absolutely amazing having this circuit etcher. Well, I am going to call the episode here. It's been lovely playing this. I hope you've all enjoyed, and I hope to see you all again for the next episode of All the Mods to the Sky.